All right, Shalom Akim out there. We want to start off by giving all glory, praise, honor unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakadash, giving double honors unto our apostles and elders at Great Millstone that are ruling well. Salutations, much love, honor, and respect unto those men that are worthy of double honors, and to you brothers out there pushing this word in sincerity and in true faith. Shalom unto you, to the hopeful elect, to the house of David. Shalom. To the few sisters that do listen, shalom, and to those that are addicted to the ministry, shalom. Back with another after camp. The Los Angeles Ancient of Days brothers back with another one. Lord's when you're edified with this lesson. Going into civil war, the sedition, this place being at the throat, these people being at the throat of each other is getting to that point. While the elect is being sealed and gathered together, standing strong, united, this place is becoming more divided. You can see it. If you've been watching, you know what the hell is going on. The Most High is doing it. It may be a theater that the elites is haven't played out because they want chaos in order to bring order out of chaos, or order out chaos. But it's really the Most High behind the scenes. This is prophesied that the men was going to fight against each other. Lack of bread, sedition among men. The people going against the government, uproars of the people. Wars being waged between nations of people, race wars, and then actual kingdoms going to battle against each other. World War III, the third war. So without further ado, go ahead.
It's Isaiah chapter 19, verse 2. And I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians.
The modern day Egyptians are who? The modern day Egyptians are the Edomites. Biblically, they are known as Edomites, but today you would know them as Caucasians or so-called white people, self-proclaimed white people. They are known in this scripture as the Egyptians because they come in the same pompous pride as the Egyptians did. When they had us in slavery, they just seen us as that, slaves. You watch the Prince of Egypt, brothers that got children, or if you seen it when you were a kid, the Prince of Egypt movie, Moses is like talking to Pharaoh. He's like, what do you see? And Pharaoh was like, a greater Egypt than that of my father. And Moses is like, well, that's not what I see. He's seen his people just catching hell. He's like, I don't see the same thing you see. My people catching hell. But you see it greater than that, you know? Esau see, he said, make America great again. What made America great? Us being in slavery. You know, all the tribes. That's why it's known as Egypt, because all the tribes served in ancient Egypt. All right? That's why this place is known as spiritual Egypt. And the modern day Egyptians are the so-called self-proclaimed white people, the Edomites, according to the Bible. All right, and the Lord say he's going to set them one against another. That's the Lord's spirit, is to bring division. And I mean, you could bring it out if you want about the division. It's really going into about the truth. It's going to be a division between those that believe in the truth and those who don't. But the Lord has come to bring division in just the world. Those that have the truth and those that don't. You know, because the elites know what the hell is going on, but the rest of the people don't know what's going on. So it's going to get to a point where everybody's at each other's throats because it's a time of great evil. Go ahead, up.
And they shall fight every one against his brother and every one against his neighbor.
Everyone against his brother and everyone against his neighbor. Civil war. That just popped up, which brothers been talking about the Civil War coming. The apostles talked about it way back when. They even talked about the breaking up of the EU. NATO. And people back then during the 90s, or the apostles bringing out the 90s and the 80s, they're like, you're crazy. Britain and Germany will never go against America. But look at it now. It's happening in your world because it is prophecy. So the Lord said, you Americans are going to fight against each other. Preferably, you Caucasian Americans, so-called, you Edomites. You're going to fight one against another. Because Trump, either you're a Democrat or you're a Republican. Majority of Esau that really got some prowess, land and shit, they like their gun rights. They're Republicans and they're for Trump. They're like, hey, fuck it, we with him. But he's like, but for you Democrats that want homosexuality, all this crap, all you weirdo Edomites, which all you Edomites are weird, right. But the ones that want this weird shit to go on, they going to eventually have to fight against the so-called Bible belt of Esau that they kind of believe in the Bible. They love their gun. You're going to have to take it from my cold dead fingers type Edomites. Then they're going to wage war against each other because one side is going to prevail. That's what they're going to think. But the Lord this is a catalyst to bring this nation down. And even Trump said, if they impeach me, it's going to come a civil war. Then he said, if they impeach him, the economy is gonna crumble,
Right.
and that's gonna go into the scriptures where it said, because of the lack of bread, men is gonna fight against his neighbor. Go ahead.
City against city, and kingdom against kingdom.
Civil war. The last civil war nearly tore the nation apart, as they say. Hey, but they combine it. They like the war between the North and the South. You go to this show called Hell on Wheels when they were building a railway system. He said the North. He's like, this nation was nearly broken apart from the war that waged between the North and the South, but only can be connected by connecting East to West. And that's exactly what happened. That's what sent Esau further into the future. But this war that's coming now is going to be even greater than the previous civil war, because more people have guns in this society than they did back then. Only the military and fighting men had guns back during the Civil War on both sides, whether Union or Confederate. But now citizens, all types of people got guns. So when they actually go against the government, fight against each other, it's going to be bloody as hell, you know, because they're going to be fighting with true hatred in their heart. Their views is going to be unmovable views. And they're going to fight against the other people that ain't got their same views. And they're going to be fighting for other things. They're going to be like, nah, this ain't the America I remember and all this other bullshit. It's going to be a very bloody civil war, man. And it ain't only going to be just civil war between Edomites and other Edomites of different beliefs and political factions, but it's going to be race wars. All the nations of the world is here. And they're going to fight. They're going to fight. It ain't just going to be Esau, and Esau is going to be all the other nations too, gathered in the mix. But in this particular scripture, the Egyptian shall fight against the Egyptian, and that is a house divided. That's how the Lord is going to bring this place down. While they both fighting each other, they ain't going to be thinking that the Lord is going to roll in, and bam, when the Lord rolls in, it's going to be too late. Go ahead.
This is Mark chapter 3, verse 24. And if a kingdom be divided against itself, that kingdom cannot stand.
Ooh, if the kingdom be divided against itself, the kingdom cannot stand. Look what happened when Israel was split into two kingdoms. It didn't stand too long. There's civil wars all the way up into the time that the Assyrians took the north and the Babylonians took the south. And that was the end of us as a nation for that time until we returned with Cyrus. But even when we returned, all our nation didn't come back. The north was still gone, and a lot of the south stayed in Babylon, and all the other places we were scattered. So we were just a remnant of our former selves. So that's what the Lord is talking about. Like, if they divided, that place cannot possibly stand. They always gonna be at bumping heads, you know. Go ahead.
And if a house be divided against itself, the house cannot stand.
Hey, that's what goes back to economy. Hey, what did Trump say? He said, if they impeach me, or if they even try to impeach a lot of, the Republicans, they're gonna really fight against it. And it said economy goes back to house management. The house is divided. They divided on the economy. They divided on how to move forward. Going into the perplexity of nations. Goes into that they don't know what move to make. They all bugged out, man. They don't know what the hell is going on. One side is saying this, no goddamn solution. The other side is saying that, no goddamn solution. The only solution is going to be, in the end thereof, blood. Right. It's going to lead to that. That's it. It's going to be the only way. It just like a lot of these nations don't want to go to war, like Iran. He's like, we do not want to start war, but believe. The ones that start the war will not be the ones to end it. It's going to lead to fighting eventually, man. That's why the Lord is talking about, hey, a house divided eventually. If you in a house and like there's like me and this brother and there's like three other people, so as soon it's going to go to blows. Somebody going to get thrown out, Jazzy Jeff style, man. Right. That's what it's going to lead to, wars. Barakatak. Go ahead.
And if Satan rise up against himself and be divided, he cannot stand.
Hey, Satan is against himself. He cannot stand. A lot of these people don't have the same plans as the elites. The elites got their goddamn plan. They got New World Order, fuck it, we gonna bring it. These other people don't have that same plan, so the elites is like, all right, fuck it. If y'all gonna fight, we gonna be on both sides of the war, and they think they're gonna decide who's gonna win the war. But really, it's the Most High is setting Esau up to fight himself. So when you are divided amongst yourself and your true enemy comes in, hey, that let us slide in. While you being divided, the tribes of Israel, the elect, are being united. Because you're the feet of that statue Nebuchadnezzar seen. It says they shall be a mixture of people, divided kingdoms, and they shall not remain united. It tells you that. So how much more Babylon? They ain't gonna remain united within their own boundary. It's gonna get really bad out here. Go ahead.
But he cannot stand, but have an end.
He cannot stand, but have an end. Woo! Cold. It will only start with bloodshed, wars, race wars, civil wars, class wars, and ultimately it's gonna end in his demise. That's cold, man. It's like when you're sick and your body is not fighting against the sickness, you're through. Right. Like your body is divided, like ain't even doing what it's supposed to do, and then the sickness that got in the body is just taking over. That's exactly what it is. Your body is not, it's fighting against you. Like, nah, right. I ain't gonna help you out. Eventually you're gonna die. So that's compared to this nation. If it's both divided, y'all not equal footing, eventually it's gonna crumble. All right, go ahead, Bobby.
Second Esdras 15 and started 14. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein.
Hey, destruction, affliction, tribulation, distress to the world. Destruction to the world. That's what woe means. It means all those things. And it ain't all, those things are not good words. Distress, tribulation, affliction, anguish, calamity. These are all synonymous words with woe and destruction, what it means. Go ahead.
For the sword and their destruction draweth nigh.
Hey, that's what the people gonna stand up and fight with what? Weapons, swords, whatever at hand. They gonna use that to destroy one another. That's what the sword is. And they actually gonna have swords in their hands, which is a modern day sword is a gun. And like I said, America, there's more, well, there's like 3 million registered weapons in America. Then what about the unregistered weapons? What about those? Damn. And then the military got hollow tip bullets, ballistic, all types of things, coffins.
Right.
Man, so it's gonna be a bloodbath out here. It said it's gonna be blood up to the horse's bridle. It's showing you all the death that's gonna come from these divided, the divided states of America. Go ahead.
And one people shall stand up and fight against another.
One people shall stand up to fight against another. That's going into the sedition among men. Now, we just read that the Egyptians was going to fight against the Egyptians. Now, Esau got firepower on both sides. That's going to be bloody. How much more when the other nations begin to start fighting? Ain't going to be no peace, no place. It's going to be bad everywhere. One people going to fight against another. Why? Lack of bread, lack of resources, lack of opportunity. It's going to get to a point where they fight. Fuck it, I'm going to get my gun or whatever, and we're going to take it to the streets. And they ain't going to be able to quell the situation. Go ahead.
And it says, fight against another and sword in their hands.
Weapons. Go ahead.
But there shall be sedition among men.
Sedition means the people going against the government. The government gonna come down with a firm hand. Because they gonna have to deal with the wars, the war abroad, World War III. They gonna have to deal with the domestic problem, with the race wars, civil wars, class wars. This is gonna be hell all over, man. Especially in Babylon. It's specifically talking to Babylon. Go ahead.
And it says, for there shall be sedition amongst men, invading one another.
Hey, looting. And house invasions. And not only just regular people doing that, but the military forces is going to be invading your houses, taking you into these re-education camps, go ahead, which is the concentration camps where you'll be tortured and killed. Go ahead.
And they shall not regard their king or princes.
That's your presidents, your mayors, your high officials, your governors. They ain't going to regard them. Might even kill them. Go ahead.
And the course of their actions shall stand their power.
There's no stopping it. There's a division. Because the government is there to keep the people in order. But if the people ain't listening to what the government is saying, is it not already them bumping heads? It's a division, divided. And it has an end. Go ahead.
And a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able.
Martial law. That's when they're going to have to somewhat establish order with martial law, military prowess, military what they call it, military presence. Go ahead.
For because of the pride of cities shall be troubled.
For the pride, the cities shall be troubled. Because of the pride of this nation, the Lord is going to trouble these cities by the way of this division, race wars. Brothers is going to kill a brother because they're going to be at different odds. They're going to be, well, I'm a Democrat, you're a Republican, kill each other. Or one of his brothers going to be with another nation. Oh, you would die. It's going to get to a point where the hate is going to rise. It's going to be at the forefront. Like that demon that got off for killing Jake, man. That's only the beginning of you just, she ran up in the dude's house, blah, blah, blah. Gone. Dude is out of there. That's just the beginning of what's going to happen on a major scale. Somebody go boom, run up in your house, pop, pop, put 3 in you, and run out. Get what they want out your house, who they want out your house, and keep it moving. Sedition among men, civil war, class war, race wars, hell. That's all that's coming. These are the beginning of sorrows. Go ahead.
And houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid.
Hey, men are going to be afraid. How much more women? This is going to be a time of great mourning, the beginning of wars and evils. What shall I do when these evils shall come, like Edris said? Go ahead.
And it says, the man shall have no pity upon his neighbor.
Woo, civil war and the race war, class war. Because, certain nations live next to one another. But it's really talking about, your nation that's your neighbor. Going back into the Egyptian versus the Egyptian. The Lord's going to make a division. But then that same conflict is going to drive the nations together to be one with each other, to fight against other kinds of people. It's going to lead to the race wars in this country. And even abroad is going to be a world war. There's going to be different factions of people in their kingdoms fighting each other. Go ahead.
And it says, destroy their houses with sword and spoil their goods because of lack of bread.
And they're going to spoil their houses with sword, weapons, and guns because of the lack of bread. The house management wasn't being managed. Going back to the economy, which means house management. The house is going to be divided. It's going to be a civil war. And it's going to be a world war. It's going to be a class war, race wars. All these things is the straight division. You on one side of the coin. You can't be on both sides. You stand on one side. The line is going to be split. What side you on? Go ahead.
And it says, for great tribulation.
For great tribulation. That's what the Lord has prepared this place for. Great tribulation. And that's why the men are going to fight even more, because it ain't going to be no end game. There ain't going to be no solution. That's why I said they ain't going to regard their kings nor princes. They ain't going to regard the president, what he's saying. They ain't going to regard the high officials, governors. They ain't going to look. The future is darkness. There ain't no hope here.
Right.
I got to get mine. Like, they going to have to get out there, get theirs. Go ahead,
Okay, that's it.
Khan. Go ahead. You had anything else?
I had Obadiah 1:18. The race one. But you go ahead, brother.
Khan. This is 2 Esdras 6:24 and reads, it says, at that time shall friends fight one against another like enemies, and the earth shall stand in fear with those that dwell therein, because it ain't going to look like there's an end. They're like, what's the solution? It's going to be a bloody conflict. You see? The springs, it says, and the earth shall stand in fear with those that dwell therein. The springs of the fountain shall stand still, and in 3 hours they shall not run. Now the water going to be turned off. It's telling you that. It said for the lack of bread, ain't going to be no water either. It's going to make this place even more ferocious. And whatever you got, they're going to kill for it. Hey, like on Book of Eli, the girl asked him, how was the world before? He's like, people had more than what they needed. But he's like, but they kill for the same stuff in that time. He says the same thing that people kill for now.
What they took for granted.
What they took for granted.
Yeah.
He said people had more than what they needed, and they took it for granted for what people kill for now. And motherfucker take for